Hello again, everyone. Well, we have our 2019 UWS Sportswoman of the Year with us right now, and it is the wonderful Hannah Rankin. Welcome, Hannah.
Hello, how are you doing?
All good, thank you. Yeah, if we look back to last year, when you became the first female boxer from Scotland to win a world title, I was
Yeah,
there and I know how much it meant to you. What an achievement. What do you remember of that night?
it was such an amazing experience. I don't think anything else great could have happened at that point in time, to be honest. Firstly, really proud to be the first British female to be headlining a televised card because the BBC was showing it. My whole family and all my friends were there, and it was being broadcast in Scotland for everybody to see. And it was just a very, very memorable night. And I was so proud to actually enter the history books and make history for my country. So yeah, it was an incredibly overwhelming but very exciting night.
And lots of good things happened after that, including the award for Sportswoman
Yeah,
of the Year. How did that feel?
that was I was so proud to receive that. I was up against some fantastic other women who in sport in Scotland, and I really wasn't expecting it. So it was a really nice surprise, and it just really topped everything off. So yeah, very proud to receive that.
It's almost when you reach something that you've been striving for in terms of world title, and then you get there, it's hard to stay there, right?
Yeah, no, it's hard work, and like they say that being a champion is so much more than just winning the title. Once you've got it, you've got to be able to promote yourself well. As a champion, you're a role model to younger people coming through, especially, and other people who look up to you to try and see where they can go in their future with their career. So there's a lot of responsibilities that come with it, and to win the award after that as well just kind of cemented that role. And I really felt strongly that trying to pioneer more girls to get into boxing in Scotland is such an important part of it for me as well. So yeah, it all kind of came together nicely.
And just hanging on to it in itself, it is difficult because there are an awful lot of world-class female boxers now.
Absolutely, yeah, no. So I took the chance and I went to defend my title away in Malta later on that year. And it wasn't to be. It was a very close fight, a few controversial decisions. So I'm hoping to get the rematch with Patricia Bergault as soon as possible. And that was my main goal for this year, was to actually get that rematch going. But after a fantastic, devastating win in February, where I stopped a former world champion in 3 rounds, I was flying and I was ready to go. And I was about to be fighting in the States again in May. And then everything kind of ground to a halt. And yeah, it was put on hold, which is a bit disappointing, really, to be perfectly honest, and mentally quite challenging because, I'm normally a very active fighter. I'm one of the most active out there, and I fight very regularly, so 4 times at least a year. And for me to not have a fight date in the diary was actually a bit depressing, really. So yeah, me and my coach put some things together, and we've been focusing on stuff during lockdown instead.
So when do you think the rematch might be now?
Well, until recently, I heard nothing from her. I mean, most people haven't heard anything from her either. She seems to just be hiding in Sweden. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm calling for the rematch. I'd be ready to go next week. It's not even nothing I'm even thinking about. But her and her team, she finally did an interview the other day saying that she had another offer. But that better offer obviously has fallen through considering the coronavirus. So maybe we'll be seeing each other sooner than she expects. Which is great for me as far as I'm concerned. But then I'm not going to waste the rest of my year calling for a rematch if she's too scared to have the fight, So I will take myself back to a world champion level, whatever way means impossible, because that's where I belong.
So you said your coach have been working on a few things to keep you occupied. What kind of things have you been doing?
So when I found out we were going into lockdown, I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't got my routine, panic. But actually, we've been working on various things that, like different sorts of techniques and different skills that sometimes you don't actually have time in the gym when you're working towards a specific opponent to actually focus on. All-round technique is something that is always a real blessing in disguise to actually have the time to work on these things. So yeah, I've just been taking all different parts of the stuff that makes up what I need to work on, like footwork and various combinations, and even the jab, all these sort of things. I've been breaking it right back down and working on it. So I'm really excited to get back in there in front of the cameras and show everybody what I've been working on, because I'm feeling great.
Sounds like you've used the time very constructively, because you've also had to juggle that a little bit with your kind of daytime job,
Yeah.
known as the classical warrior. Tell us more.
So basically, when we went into lockdown, all the schools that I teach at for music, they basically moved everything online. So my flute and bassoon lessons have been moved online. So it's been an interesting experience, because I think, like, obviously the advantages that I've been forced to use technology a little bit more than I normally do, because it's not my forte, I will say. But yeah, no, I'm really proud of the kids. They've really stepped up and worked hard to have lessons online. You can't always hear everything as clearly as you want to. Like, we can't work on tone, but technique is coming along. And all my music theory students are doing really well. So yeah, no, I'm really proud of them, and they've taught me a thing or two with some new technology skills. So yeah, no, it's worked well, but we're about to hit the end of term, so we're going to hit summertime. So no more lessons for a little while, but hopefully we'll be back in school in the new term. So yeah.
Let's hope so. We always talk about role models and what elite athletes can do to send the right messages down the ladder. These youngsters that are getting their music lessons with you, when they know that you're a boxer as well, what's their reaction?
I actually had a really funny one the other day. So I have a little new pupil, Alfie. He's about 8 years old, and he's doing music theory with me. And the other day, I said I was obviously I was a boxer, and I boxed in Scotland and became world champion last year. And he obviously went away and he Googled it, and the next lesson he said, I Googled you and I could see everything about you, and it was so cool that you were world champion. I told all my friends on my Zoom lesson. And I was so proud, and I think it definitely gives me like that added kudos as like the cool teacher, so yeah.
Alison, do you think it's still quite a difficult sport for women to get into, Hannah?
Nowadays, I think that there's so many more opportunities than even from when I started. I think there's people like myself, Terry Harper, Chantel Cameron, all these people out there like pushing for more girls to get involved in women's boxing, and more gyms are, it's easy enough to walk into a gym as a girl these days. I think that's definitely much more acceptable than it ever used to be. So, there's great role models out there. Katie Taylor's obviously shining a great light for the sport. And I think, in general, the public themselves are warming to women's boxing. So therefore, it's not so surprising if your daughter turns around and says, I want to get into boxing. I think it's becoming more common. It's like, I want to do football. I want to do boxing. These are things coming together. So I think actually it's great. It's starting to get there a little bit.
I guess perhaps the fear is in lockdown, many youngsters haven't been getting the exercise or the opportunities that they might have had. And there's potentially a bit of an impact for this.
Absolutely. I think obviously with the amateur boxing scene, it's been a real struggle because they had to cancel their competitions and everything like that. And the amateurs are still not back in the gym. It's only elite level professionals and the Team GB who are back in training. Just because there needs to be so many health and safety things put into place. And especially when you're in the amateur club and there's a lot of kids going everywhere, things need to be sorted out before they arrive. But yeah, no, I think, I work for a charity called Active Communities Network, and I've been doing a lot of online classes for their kids, ranging from quite young ages up into the late teens. So young adults as well. And we've been working on our boxing classes. I've been doing kind of various technique things with them. And so they've been staying active. And I think that's been so important, is to remind kids to stay active at this time and keep them busy. But yeah, no, I think it has been a little bit detrimental to various things, not being able to actually attend your club.
Yeah, well, hopefully that will bounce back sooner rather than later, but it has to be safe. For you, I know winning a world title was your goal, but I'm sure your ambitions go even greater than that now.
Absolutely. I feel like my first 13 fights have kind of almost been my apprenticeship really in the sport, because I didn't start in the amateur background. So I don't have like 50 fights before I turned professional. I just turned professional from a handful of white collar boxing. So these first 13 fights, I became world champion and I achieved my goal. And now I know that's where I belong. So for me, my next goal is to get another world title and stay up there and be where I really belong as a boxer. So yeah, no, it's those are my focus, my goals, and obviously inspiring more girls at home in Scotland to get involved in sport, because it's so important to have more of us coming through, and I want to see more history written down from more girls coming through, for sure.
And what's it like to be really good at least two things, Hannah? boxing and music. Most of us are not even good at one.
I think that's probably, I'm a hyperactive person, so I've got to keep myself busy all of the time. But yeah, no, I must admit, as well as missing my sort of like fighting, I'm actually missing performing with orchestras and my quintet. You know, I had 5 concerts booked in, literally were just about to happen before this lockdown happened, and it was right before Easter, so there's some beautiful music that we were going to be doing, and I'm really missing that aspect of it. I think performers and artists are having a real difficult time just now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to that. I miss that very much. So yeah, no, it should be, I keep myself busy. Me and my quintet have been playing online. So we have recorded some music and it's being played to kids from schools, because normally we go into schools and do projects. So we actually recorded our individual parts and mashed them together to be performed for the kids in schools, but it's all online. So that was a good little challenge.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that happening. We've been watching with music from the big bands to whoever. Is that as technically as difficult as you might think?
Yeah, it is actually. It's amazing how much when you're just performing live, things just flow. You know, when you're all together, you breathe together, you move together, you know, everything just slots in. But when you're trying to set something to headphones and the click track, so you've got a time going, or you can hear somebody else's part and you're desperately trying to fit your part to their part, it's actually very hard. And the number of takes I've had to do for many different things is, you know, you sit in a room, you think, right, I've only got to do this small thing, and then 10 takes later maybe you've got it. So it is quite difficult.
I was going to say, to finish, boxing is obviously a lot more simple, but in a way it isn't, because it's got its nuances, and sparring and training is not the same as getting into the ring against a competitor.
No, it's not. And I think the hardest part for a lot of boxers has been, like, you know, the conditioning you get from working on the bags in the boxing gym and actually having a trainer, you know, on your shoulder being like, you've got to do this, you've got to work a little bit harder at this and focus on that. It's like, you know, that's what we're all missing. And sparring obviously is an integral part of our training, and we're only just being able to start sparring again now. So yeah, I think a lot of boxers are going to be struggling a little bit. And then when it comes to fight night, you know, you've got to perform, but it's going to be weird because at the moment there's no audiences. So it's all behind closed doors. So it depends how much you thrive off the noise of the crowd and how much mentally that's going to affect you.
And going back to 2019, I know how much you got from that West of Scotland, Glasgow crowd to win that world title.
Absolutely. I mean, the hairs on the back of my neck went up when I went in, because a lot of the young boxers from Kinnick Boxing Gym, they all kind of gave me a guard of honour as I went to go in to do my walkout. And that's something that I will never forget. You know, it made the hairs on the back of my neck go up, and I was just so proud to be, you know, inspiring them, and hopefully them looking at me thinking that'll be me one day, you know. So yeah, it was amazing.
Well, we look forward to seeing more of that, Hannah, in the future once we all get back to some semblance of normality. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Hannah.
you. Bye.